Europe is quietly building its own nuclear shield, and Donald Trump's fingerprints are all over it. Is this the dawn of a more self-reliant continent, or a dangerous gamble that could unravel decades of stability? Before we dive in, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in US politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and keeps the critical analysis flowing. Norway is the latest country to join France's growing nuclear deterrence initiative, bringing the total to 9 European nations. This move, spearheaded by French President Emmanuel Macron, is a clear signal that Europe is stepping up its own defense. It's happening after years of persistent pressure from former President Donald Trump, who repeatedly argued that European allies weren't pulling their weight and were too dependent on the US for security. Trump's famous refrain was blunt: "If they don't pay, I'm not going to defend them." This initiative, often dubbed forward deterrence, involves discussions and planning on how France's nuclear arsenal could contribute to the security of its European partners. The other countries already participating include Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, Greece, and the United Kingdom. Now, let's be clear, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre emphasized that their primary deterrence still comes from NATO, and France has been consulting with both NATO and the US on this expansion. So, this isn't an outright rejection of the alliance, but rather a significant augmentation of European self-sufficiency. This whole shift comes amid escalating concerns about Russia's aggression, with many in Europe fearing that Moscow could eventually push beyond Ukraine and pose a direct threat to NATO territory. It's a stark reminder of the precarity of peace and the need for robust defense capabilities. Macron is actively positioning France as the linchpin of a more autonomous European security framework. This expansion is a key piece of that puzzle. It aligns with a broader trend of NATO allies increasing their defense spending and military cooperation. Remember, at the NATO summit in The Hague earlier in 2026, members agreed to a new, ambitious goal: spending 5% of their GDP on defense by 2035, a massive leap from the long-standing 2% benchmark. This initiative by France is a tangible manifestation of that commitment, a signal that Europe is willing to invest more and take on greater responsibility. It's important to understand what this initiative entails. France is not planning to permanently station nuclear weapons in these participating countries. Instead, the focus is on enhancing deterrence through joint discussions, planning, and exercises. France is signaling that its own security is increasingly intertwined with the security of its European partners. Participating countries might also temporarily host French strategic air forces. This is a strategic move by Macron, leveraging France's unique position as the EU's only nuclear-armed country. He argues that France's nuclear deterrent should play a more prominent role in protecting the continent, especially as European governments are boosting their military budgets and expanding defense cooperation. This echoes France's historical development of an independent nuclear deterrent during the Cold War, a deliberate choice by President Charles de Gaulle to ensure France would never be solely dependent on Washington for its security. The historical context is crucial here. For decades, Europe's ultimate nuclear backstop has been the United States, with American nuclear weapons stationed in several NATO countries. France's proposal is more nuanced, aiming to make potential adversaries, particularly Russia, consider the implications of threats against European allies in terms of French security interests, without offering a formal, explicit nuclear guarantee in the same vein as the US. This development highlights a fascinating dynamic. European governments are actively strengthening regional defense arrangements, even as the US remains NATO's dominant military power and its primary nuclear guarantor. It also underscores the complex and often transactional relationship between Trump and Macron. While Trump has at times rated Macron's alliance contributions, he has also been a vocal critic of European defense spending. Macron, on his part, has consistently pushed for Europe to assume greater responsibility for its own security, sometimes diverging from US foreign policy positions. These tensions reflect a broader, ongoing challenge for NATO as Europe seeks greater military capability while still leaning heavily on American power and nuclear umbrella. So, what do you think about this evolving European defense landscape? Is France's nuclear initiative a smart move towards greater self-reliance, or does it risk complicating NATO's unified front? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This is a pivotal moment for European security, and we'll be watching closely as these strategic shifts unfold.